Y'all. Welcome to another episode of Speak on It. I'm your host with my two co-hosts, Biv and Taman with me. Y'all know it's Wednesday, so we usually talk a lot of sports. Today, I don't know if we're going to get to the agenda that we had, but it's something super serious that's going on in the world right now, and in the sports arena. And the sports arena is taking a hold of it. So we definitely want to start out talking about it. But before we do that, I want to make sure that we are following us on YouTube, telling friends that we are live right now on Facebook. You can go to our Instagram page, follow us there, and make sure that you are following us on Spotify as well. If you want to know how you can get to all those platforms, you can definitely go to our Facebook page, look at our link tree, and it take you directly to where we are. But without further ado, I'm gonna let my man Biv say something to the people.
Man, what's going on, man? Everybody, man, just welcome to the show. Enjoy yourself.
Go ahead, Tamon, say something to the people real quick.
Hey man, let's get going, man. Got a lot to get off the chest.
And that's where we're gonna start it at. So, um, what's happening right now in sports, right? Um, Jacob Blake. Jacob Blake um is was trending right now. Another black man shot in I want to say was it Konisha, Wisconsin, and we are seeing shutdowns all across sports. I mean basketball, like you said, the Brewers aren't playing. Um, and one of the things I just saw uh just popped up on my timeline on Instagram. Kenny the Jet Smith walked off on NBA the NBA inside the NBA set, which I respect him for. But what are you guys' thoughts, man, on what's going on? What's going on with the video, and how we're seeing so much solidarity all across sports right now? What's going on in your minds as black men who play sports? And I think sports is one of the things that brings unites. I mean, unites all cultures, unites all races, because we all have a common goal. Um, but what's going on in your mind right now as a black man, where we continuously see these things happening? Anybody can
You can
speak.
go ahead. You go ahead, Tamon.
Um, I mean, shout out to Kenny Smith. I mean, I think that whew, um,
Oh, well, while you gather your thoughts,
yeah, yeah.
go ahead. One of the things I love that what he said about it, is he said, I feel as though as a black man in America, and as an ex-player, that I should not be here today. I should unite with them. And he said, I'll deal with what happens afterwards. Meaning that, again, I'm not saying that he's going to lose his job or, you know what I mean, or whatever the case may be, but he was willing to stand up for what he believed in over, you know what I mean, over the job. You know what I mean? And that's what it spoke to me when he said that.
I mean, just to speak to what Kenny Smith did. Um, I mean, I don't think that he's going to lose his job in this climate because that would actually bring a lot more heat to TNT. Um, so I think in this climate, you're actually going to see in the media, as far as the big wigs, who's real and who's not. Um, I mean, this is taking when we're talking about boycotting the games and whatnot. This is taking money off of owners' tables. This is taking money off of the television ratings. This is this is a huge step in my opinion. And it sounded like the Bucks are the ones that started it. Um, so I mean, with them coming together as a collective rather than it being individuals, I think that that was a big step and a big statement. Um, but in my opinion, they are shedding a huge light, which I mean, the light was already big, but this is even bigger in my opinion. especially to anybody who was watching, who are tuned in to anything outside of what's going on, which would be sport. If you see them taking a stand, then it makes the conversation that more relevant in different households.
Definitely agree with that.
Yeah, for me, with them uh, deciding to not play, it's one of those things where sports is always supposed to be a place where you forget about everything. But sometimes things are bigger than sports, and sometimes you know everything has to come to a halt in order for people to get you know the full extent of what you're trying to set. And for those players, to them, you know, that could have been one of their family members. It could have been their sons. It could have been them. So you can understand, the frustration of it. Um, People always love to throw out, what good is it gonna do, just boycotting the game? Well, if you just boycott the game, nothing. If you just boycott the game, nothing is gonna happen. The question is, what are you gonna do after you boycott the game? And for me, the only thing that they can do from here on out is to not play another basketball game until the change that they want happens. That's it. Don't play another basketball game until the change that you want happens. And I believe that they have the leadership in place in that bubble. You have Chris Paul and you have LeBron. I believe they have the leadership to to make a stand if they stay in the bubble together, or if they decide to go out and be with their family in a time like this, because you don't know, you really don't know. Like, they're away from their families, and it could be one of their family members that's on the next video, and they're in the bubble trying to play basketball. And then you have to ask yourself and make that decision of what's bigger when you can already be out on the front lines getting something done. And I believe that is their mindset now is, it's time to go ahead and make this stand for real. And I'm with them. You know, it's bigger than basketball at this point, and it's time to start putting some action and, behind the protests and behind the rioting. Let's start really getting behind, legislation. Let's start lobbying and getting our points across, and getting people in political positions to make a difference.
I definitely agree with um like a bunch of your points. Um, I was trying to see if I can pull up some of the the comments that I was looking at with some of the players, but I, I'm with you. It has to start here, right? It has to be bigger than basketball. Um, and I think to say that I am going to um stand united and really not play the game that we've been playing all of our lives, to bring awareness to these things that's happening, these injustices that's happening in the world. I think that speaks volumes, and it's huge. One of the players that stuck out to me also, two players, was Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I mean, he spoke up. He spoke up on it. And Matt Stafford, they both spoke up on it. And why that spoke volumes to me is because they aren't African Americans, but they are leaders in their clubs. They're leaders of NFL teams. They're quarterbacks. Um, and one of the things that Matt Stafford talked about was saying that um, that Matt Patricia put them in situations where they had to have these conversations. They had to have these tough conversations because um, when I look down the line, I see my black brothers and sisters, my black brothers. I mean, because they're in the locker room, and to really um, try to talk about and understand what they're going through in America right now. Yeah, I mean, so those are some of two of the people that stuck out to me, because I think in that sport specifically, football, the only way that we'll actually see the ball rolling in that area is when we get those type of players, the Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Brady's, um, those type of players to step up and stand united with what's going on in the world. Um, but like Biv talked about also is we have to also do our part at the polls. Yeah, I mean we have to go out there and vote. We have to get out here, and that to me is just that's just um part A. You know what I mean? We also have to put pressure on um, the people to make change. You know what I mean? We have to allow our voices to be heard, not just at the polls or stopping at the polls, but also getting in there and talk about the things that we want to see changes with. So I definitely agree with both of you guys as far as um, this is this is this is step one to me. And me and Timon talked about it a little bit yesterday, where we said that it when George Floyd happened, it just felt like they were just giving us things just to hush up. Yeah, I mean, just to make us hush. Yeah, I mean, but in all actuality, like this stuff is still continuously happening. Yeah, I mean, like George Floyd wasn't the last black man murdered by a cop after like that day. Like there have been several more murdered afterwards, and we don't really hear about them. They don't get the notoriety. You know what I mean? They don't talk about them. They just sweep them under the rug. And I feel like at some point, and the NBA players are doing it now, or maybe they aren't. I mean, we don't know. We'll see what happens afterwards. But at some point, enough has to be enough. Like we have to start standing up for what we believe in. Yeah, I mean, we have to start standing up for the things that we want. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen after this. Like kind of what Biff said a little bit before we got on air, and I'll let him talk about it and why he feel that way. But are is it just a one game thing, and then we go back to we go back to business as usual, or is this we're going to take a stand and I'm done with playing basketball, or I'm done with playing football, or I'm done with playing um, baseball until we see progressive change. So I'll stay with I'll open it up with that. Or your thoughts on that as well. You guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, one of the things that I think that the sports has influence on as far as politics is you think about not only their voice but more so when it comes to economics, right? So those teams bring revenues to those towns, and they have different events that they probably will have to get cleared through different politicians. And I'm pretty sure that the owners is probably a lobbyist for a politician, whether it be a governor, whether it be a senator, whether it be city, whatever the case may be. Pretty sure with these billionaire owners that they have lobbied with different politicians. To, uh, what's his name? Jerry Jones is one that
Mm-hmm.
comes to mind. Pretty sure that he's one that's laced the pockets of some people to get some things done. So with this change, it can to the point make the owners more aware to where they can actually speak up as far as the politics is concerned, because they have a bigger voice than even us at the polls. Because when we look at politics, at the end of the day, the money that they raise, you know what I mean, they likely go with what they're the people that have the money or what they're talking about. So I mean, us as a community, we one need to get funds together as far as lobbying, and it's not even as far as lacing the pockets of the politicians, just as far as making our voice heard economically. Um, but until that point is done, the athletes we all know are the product, and you can't move without the product. So if the product doesn't move, then you got to figure out how to make that product move. And with the majority of the product that we have on television, African Americans and them standing up, and also their counterparts of the Caucasian race and any other race as well standing up with them, now we have an economic field to where the owners now have to say something. They have to speak up. Otherwise, their business is down the drain. So I do think that it's a great thing because it will, in my opinion, or it can politics and affect law and affect change.
Yeah, if you mess with a man's money, you're gonna get his attention. I don't care what race he is. or a woman's money. I don't care what race she is. If you mess with their pockets, like, you're gonna get their attention. And right now, a lot of people they're just ignorant to the reality that we're living in. They're just ignorant towards it. They don't want to see it. They don't want to understand it. You know, for the simple fact that you know if you can justify anyone being shot in the back 7 times, I don't understand how you can justify it. I don't really care what happened beforehand. There's no justification in shooting someone in the back 7 times. And speaking specifically to the video, you know, you can see him clearly walking away. He's not running. I'm not sure of what he's saying. I'm not sure if he's angry or not, but it doesn't appear that he's angry. You know, and he walks from the back passenger side of the truck all the way around to the front driver's side. And between that time, nobody could just jump on his back, tackle him. You know, I just feel like there's something that could have been done before it was necessary to shoot him. You know, and I don't really care what the story was. I heard stories about him having a knife. I heard stories of him saying he was going to get a gun. I really could care less about any of that. Again, he has his back to you. He's walking away, and he walks a decent amount of a distance, enough for you to go and tackle him before he gets to whatever weapon he may have been trying to get in the vehicle.
The thing
And
about that, go ahead.
here, one thing that it can be perpetuated and highlighted, but at the same time, you see numerous of occasions to where someone that doesn't look like us can be in the same position that could have a weapon, and there's different measures taken, and it's like, why isn't there any what is it togetherness as far as the police and union, as far as how they do tactics? Like it boggles my mind, the fact that uh like you said, what excuse can you give? You know what I mean? Like, to shoot him 7 times, whereas there's no appearance of him, even when he's going to the driver's side, he does not have a weapon. Even if he has a knife, there's other measures to take. I thought that shooting would be the last option. Not a policeman. I don't know the rules, but at the same time, I would think that using lethal force would be the last resort, and it seems like it's the first resort, and especially when it comes to people that look like us.
You touched on two things I wanted to ask y'all follow ups. But I want to address what y'all said, right? One, if I don't care if he had a knife or a gun, his back is towards you. So he's not an immediate threat. So even if you didn't want to, because I know what people will say, my brother is a lot of my family is in the military, so they'll teach you how to shoot, right? They'll tell you we shoot to kill, right? Where if we feel that we're threatening. This man didn't appear to be threatened to be a threat. He is, well, he is, his back is towards you. So even if he feels though that I don't need to tackle him, or I don't want to get that close, right? I don't need to shoot him in his back 7 times. I can shoot him in his leg or his arm or whatever it is. But like y'all said, you could tackle him. If you don't want to get that close, you can shoot him in his arm or his leg or whatever it is. There are other measures to me that you could have taken to bring this man into custody. Another thing that Taman talked on was how people who are of the other race, they can have weapons, and you somehow find tactical ways to bring them into custody. Cole told me, my wife told me a story today that a man or a teenager or whatever it was drove or rode his bike to where the incident happened with the protesters and shot 3 people, killed 2 of them, wounded 1, and then walked up to the police officer with the rifle in hand and said, "I murdered someone." and gave himself up, surrendered, and there was no lethal force, no force brought on him at all. Which brings up a thing to me is fear. Like either you fear us, it, it, to me it's two things, twofold. You fear us and you hate us. And to me, I can't for the life of me understand why. You know what I mean? Why you fear us that much and why you hate us that much to the point where it's in you to tactically diffuse a situation when you feel as though you want to use it. But when it comes to the people of black and brown, you lose all your training.
But even taking fear of us out of the situation, as you as a police officer have taken a civil oath to be a civil servant of the city that you're serving, and you are to protect and serve. So when you're taking that oath and you're under that occupation, you understand the measures that come about it. And you understand that this America is diverse. So you're going to deal with diverse people, whether it be people that look like you or people who not. If you're not built for that, then you're not built to be a cop. And in my opinion, and I could be wrong, I feel like there's some that have hidden agendas to being a cop. And how do you weed that out?
You ain't wrong for that, bro.
He's not wrong.
I'm just saying, like, how do you weed that out? Because I mean, like you said, you got people that you got family that's in the military. I know guys that have been cops. You know what I mean? That my I know a guy that's my one of my guys' little brothers. He's a cop. He's a good dude. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
so, and he treats everybody the same. You know what I mean? With the stories that he has, whether it be black guy, white guy, whatever the case may be. Why is it that all cops look through the same lens? You know what I mean? Like that, and that's
I'm gonna tell you.
and
Go ahead.
when we looking at the stats, I think it was like last year, it was like 360 black people that were killed by cops. That's one every day.
Hmm.
One every day, man. Like
And again, like you
that's
said, that's not what I said yesterday. That is what's reported. You know what I mean? That's what's reported. Um, but as I'm sitting here thinking about it, right? Because it took me back to when I went and tried out for the police academy, right? There's two. There is two tests you have to pass. One is a physical test. The other one is a psych evaluation. So to me, it makes me think like this is systematic because you have to pass a psych evaluation in order to get into the academy. So it's like, what what are we evaluating? What are we evaluating when we're putting these people who don't like us? It's clear. Yeah, I mean, in uniforms and giving them a weapon and a badge and saying that go out here and police these areas. And another thing that I found crazy is, and some of them you have to live in that community, right? You have to live, you have to move within a certain um, stratosphere of that community. And are they just, to me, they're just putting people in that community who know nothing about that community. I think that's another reason, another one of the problems that we have. But back to the whole psych evaluation thing, it's like, what are you evaluating um, with these when you're doing these psych evaluations? That is alarming to me, and I think that in and of itself is one of the things that needs to be revisited um, and revamped, or we had to look at the people that's doing it.
For me, like we can't weed them out beforehand, you know, because even with the psyche valve, some people are good. You know, they gonna pass it. You know, I'm just being real. But when a doctor has malpractice, you know what I mean? People stop, you know, he's done. When, you know, a lawyer is disbarred, he's done. When a cop is fired, he can just go get another job as a cop.
I want to I want to say something about that, right?
You feel me?
They're not fired.
Regardless, hold on. Regardless of the track record, I know cops that were fired in one town because they did something dirty, and then they got hired in a neighboring town. So like to me, it's like it's the weeding out process should happen once they get in on the force, and you see that they're a bad apple. Why do these bad apples continuously get second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth strikes? And me as a citizen, I can't get that same benefit. I can't get that same benefit of breaking the law several times. There are police officers out there who have been written up and have been put on trial for, you know, excessive force and murder and everything like that. And just because, you know, a jury of their peers gets them off, they can go out and continue being a cop, even though we all seen. Think about the Rodney King case. We all seen it. They got acquitted, and they were right back being cops. Like that is the That is the issue. That is the problem. They are never held accountable for what they do. And then we always keep saying not all cops are bad. Well, when are the good ones going to stand up? When are the good ones going to stand up? When are the good ones going to be on our side of the protest and not behind the badge? Because if the basketball players are saying it's bigger than basketball, the police officers that say that they're good, it should be bigger than the badge.
Yeah. You are 100% correct on that one. Good.
Well, he didn't say that.
Like at some point in time, it has to be bigger than the badge. And I said it on Facebook yesterday, and I said it jokingly, but I remember I love movies, I love TV shows, and every cop show, movie I've ever watched, they are always afraid of internal affairs. Where is internal affairs? Who is really? I thought internal affairs is supposed to police the police. Where are they at?
Yes.
There's never anybody policing the police, but they're supposed to exist. There's supposed to be a special department in there that is supposed to police the police. Why is that never, ever done? There's always an internal investigation that turns up nothing. Breonna Taylor, her people are still out there. Her killers are still out there. I don't care if they pulled the trigger or if they signed the warrant or if they said the task force could go. Whoever is responsible for her death needs to be held accountable. Every single person.
Every single one.
That was
Are police above the law?
Well, yeah. And
it appears to be so.
I said we will keep it real. Yes, they are. They're above the law. But one of the things Biff said, man, that spoke volumes to me is, where are the good cops? Like, where are they? Where are you? And I get it. A lot of people say, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Don't talk bad about your employer. Yada yada yada. But at some point, your humane side has to be bigger. Has to speak louder than what pays you, right? It has to speak louder than the brotherhood that you have with the police academy or the people that you trained with. Like, the brotherhood of humanity should be bigger than the brotherhood of the shield, the blue, or whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, you want to call it. It should be bigger than that. And for us not to hear about the good cops speaking out or uniting, again, I'm not saying that they're not, But in this day and age, you can no longer say, well, we're doing this thing internally. Well, we're doing X, Y, and Z because we're not seeing it. We're not seeing it. They're killing us externally. So we need to start to see leaders who say that they are the good cops speak out externally and not do it internally. It's okay to police the police internally, but us as a people and us as in a black and brown community, and I'm gonna just scratch the black and brown community. Us, yes, we do need to see it, but us as humans also need to see leaders stepping up and saying that we're here. This is what we're doing, and we're unifying. We're uniting with you guys.
I just want to highlight that bar that you had with the internally and the externally. Just want to highlight that. I like that. just a little, a little break the tension. Cause listen, but I like that bar. But go ahead.
Like, I mean, it's just real, right? It's what we're living on a day to day basis. Is what we're living on a minute by minute basis. Like we 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 all do things, right? We all as black men, we drive, we go get grocery. And again, I gotta stop saying us as black men, right? Because like you said, Breonna Taylor has been murdered. Yeah, I mean Sandra Bland, they've been murdered.
Us as a people.
So us as a people, and my wife says it all the time. Hey, it's dark outside. I don't want you driving around, in Elkton. Yeah, I mean a black man in Elkton when it's dark. And I'm thinking like, well, shoot, I don't want you driving around as a black woman. Yeah, I mean when it's dark as well. So to have that fear of at any moment just going to get something that's routinely right, just going to get milk or bread or whatever it is that you do on a regular basis, come home from work, to have that fear that this could be the day. Like that's why we need the good cops to step up and to speak out and say, I'm here, right? That's why we need them.
And let's be honest though. Has the fear is, in my opinion, it's always been there.
Hmm.
I mean, we can go into history and go way back, but I mean the fear of us getting pulled over by a cop that don't look like us,
Or do look
regardless
like
of
us.
yeah, that too. When you see them lights, regardless of whether or not you speeding or what, it's no matter where you are, man, and especially if you don't know the area and you don't know how things get down and whatnot, you don't know what you could come across. So, I mean, the fear is always been there, and I think it's more prevalent, of course, with us. Um, it's it's only the thing is what bothers me is like we're supposed to be the minority here. What is the fear for? Like we're 15% of this country. That's not a lot.
Right.
Like what really is the fear? Where do you say that you fear for my life? Let's be honest. Because if it came down to an army, yeah, we're gonna put up a good fight, but it's a lot of y'all.
That's a
It's
lot of
if
y'all.
I'm not, it's a 8-2 battle. Oh, so y'all eight might be a little slim, but nonetheless, it I don't get the fear. I don't get the fear. I like you said, what is the reason as to why you fear for your life when it comes to looking at somebody like me?
Again, I said fear and hate. Like go ahead, babe.
When you say why do they fear? Do you talk about the police specifically? Or are you speaking in general to
I'm gonna
races?
say, I'm gonna tell you, I'm speaking
I I
police,
was speaking the when
the
you look
race.
on television, it's normally a policeman of white persuasion that will typically say that they feared for their life when it comes to them killing people that look like us.
And I'm gonna say, to answer your question real quick before I let you go, I'm gonna say the race. Because to me, that fear didn't happen when you was a police officer. You didn't just develop that fear when you was a police officer. That fear you had before you put on that badge, and in some cases, that fear is what drove you to get the badge.
For me, I don't think it's fear. I think it's the they want to continue to be dominant. They want to show that they're still in control and that they have authority. See, and I'm going to go and I'm going to go way back. You think about the history of this world, and I'm going to go there. Only the Europeans felt like they wanted to go and conquer the entire world. Let's just be real. And at some point in time, they've they've touched the entire world. You even think about us as Americans when we go to war with the places, we leave ourselves there. We set up base, we set up shop, we set up business there. We want to be dominant. That's the American way, and the people that run America are the whites. That's who run America. That, call it what you want to call it, say what you want to say. That's the truth. They run America, so that's the way that they are. That's the way. Unfortunately, it's been passed down generation to generation to generation. They feel that they are entitled to everything. They feel that they should be in control of everything. That's just the way it is, and it continues with with the police shootings. It's fear a factor, yes, but it's also about showing that I'm in control, that I'm the dominant one, that you're beneath me, I'm superior, and they feel entitled to that. They feel as though it's okay, and that's there's not enough there's not enough of a mind change of any generation. It seems like for it to stop, because there's still people out there that feel as though this this is right. This was justified because he was a black man who was angry. He had a record, so get him off the streets. Get him off the streets, and not that he's a human being. He made mistakes, and he deserves a second chance. And that's the problem. That's the problem. We don't They don't feel as though we deserve second and third chances. We get it wrong the first time, and they constantly want to keep you in that system. Me and my wife talk about it all the time. The prison system is a trap. It's a trap. Think about probation. The one thing you have to do when you're on probation is get a job. What's the hardest thing for a person to do when they get out of jail? Get a
Get a
job.
job.
So you're going back across the fence for violating because you can't get what they tell you can't get. It's a trap.
Definitely.
So and when I hear people all the time like Dom keeps saying, we need leaders, we need leaders, we need leaders. We do, but we all have to do our part.
Hmm.
We all have to do our part, regardless of how small you might think it is. We all have to do our part. I'm an educator. I'm on the front lines. I'm in schools, trying to push getting not always just an education as far as post secondary, going to college, but going to get in a trade, get certified in something. They can't take that piece of paper away from you. And usually, if you certify, that means you can work for yourself.
Hmm.
You don't need an employer. You can work for yourself. And that's the role that I'm playing. You're never gonna see me out protesting with a sign. That's not who I am. That's not who I am. But I'm gonna be in these schools. I'm gonna be on these blocks. I'm gonna be talking to these young men and these young ladies about getting themselves together, about doing something with themselves, about making the future, and being a statistic, a positive statistic. We always stress, don't be a statistic. You can be a positive statistic. Even if it's a majority, be a part of the small majority that is doing the right thing. And that's my role right now. And that's the role that I'm going to take. That's the role that I'm going to continue to take. But I can't do everything, and I can't expect people to do everything. But I got to do my part.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, it, one of the things that you touched on, man, is about that trap,
Mhm.
and that goes to the system. I mean, if you really think about it, when when you're in that system, you're part of the slave system in a sense. And I mean, it becomes to where it's free labor or cheap labor. And I mean, the majority of the prisons are profit. So that's what they profit off. That's the best way to get you back into slavery, is to get you into that system. And it goes back to, why is it that we don't get the same rights as far as breaking the law 5 6 times and being moved from place to place, whether, and then you have these, it's all built against, man. I mean, we know that, of course, but I mean, not saying that others don't, but looking at it from a bird's eye view, it's built against us. You can say that it may not have been planned out that way. You can have that theory. At the end of the day, when we're talking about juries, even if we take it to trial, I mean, because they even when we go, you know what I mean, they want us to plead out. That's the quickest way to get us in, and then we can't get representation that has the best interest for us. If you bring it to trial, then you got a peers. Are you really having peers that look like me? Are you really having my peers, or is it your peers? Like, what peers are you going to take? People that's from my hood, or you got somebody that's just in the same zip code? So it's got to change, man, and it's got to change, bro. It's
I definitely, definitely agree with. Like, I want to touch on both things y'all said, right? So, Biv, you're 100% correct. Um, you got some people are who aren't going to be out there, right, as faces, but we need, like, leaders to me start where we are, right? You have to be a leader in your own community. You have to be a leader, not even in your own community first, but you have to be a leader in your own circle of influence. If you aren't a leader in your own circle of influence, you can't you can't think that you're gonna go out here and conquer a state, you know what I mean, um or like a city or whatever it is. You're not gonna you can't think that you're gonna go do that. So I agree with you. We have to do our part in our own circle of influence. That's where leadership starts. Um, and then to talk about the whole trap thing, I always talk about the prison system is $1 billion industry. That's a that's $1 billion industry. There more people go to prison than they graduate. Like, more people go, like, there's more dollars circulating in the prison system than it is in the education field. Like, that is $1 billion industry that they don't want to um they don't want to dismantle. They don't want to um uh do away with. They don't want change in it because, one, it it it's what promotes judges. It's what gets you promoted. It's what gets you your conviction rate high. I mean, because it's that prison system. You're just another number,
that
and
dollar.
that's what it is. One of my favorite movies Jamie Foxx ever did. Shout out to my man Jamie Foxx. Law Abiding Citizen. To me, that's a true story. That's a true that it may not be a true story, but it's what black people live on a real basis, on a regular basis. And this is a true story. I got a man, someone who close to me, who did time and he should have. He came home, was doing the right thing, um, and got jammed up. He didn't get jammed up in the situation, but just because he knew somebody or he knew something, he knew people, and he had 2 strikes. The police arrested him, tried to pin something on him, and they wanted him to testify. And he telling them, "I don't know nothing." But because he got 2 strikes, they are they're holding it because they believe that he knows something. And like Taman said, they appointed him a public defender who don't got his best interest. So now he did 10 years and he's sitting in a cell and he was there for like 8 months, I think. And then when stuff happened, they said, we're gonna give you a year and a half. So I sat for 8 months and then you gave me a year and a half and now you're not giving me time to serve, all off of the basis of what you think I know. And then this public defender that you appointed me can't be found and don't got my best interest. And he's of our color. They don't care. They don't care about us. It's just we're
Wait a
just
minute.
another number.
Wait a minute. You said the public defender is our
Can't
color?
can't be no the public defender ain't our
Oh,
color.
okay, okay. I was about to say, wow.
They don't care. Like he sat there telling them that I don't know nothing. They wanted them to plead out, and like you said, that's what it is. They want them to plead out. They want us to plead out through this time. And I'm telling you, listen, I don't know nothing, but they ain't trying to hear that because I got a record. Because I have a record. When I try to do good, when I'm trying to do my own thing, like I said, because I can't get a job, so I'm starting my own business, and you don't care about none of that. You just want to use me for your agenda or to further your agenda. Another thing I said, like, and I'm gonna tie this into sports. I was like, man, like, why they fear us or why they hate us or whatever. I know I'm a big Sixers fan, right? And the story came out with Brett Brown and Jimmy Butler. He was saying like, I, the story came out and said that the reason that we didn't resign Jimmy is because Brett feared him. Brett Brown feared Jimmy Butler. That's why he wouldn't resign him. Brett Brown doesn't when he had and they said they said he's scared of confrontation, but the reason that he doesn't police Ben and Joel Embiid because he fears them.
He don't need to be a head coach at all. Nope. He doesn't need
Nah.
to be a head coach.
You know
It's just that simple.
what's funny about that is that I
I
was
can see
actually just watching. It's an old clip, but like literally probably like around about 4:30 today. Just randomly watching JJ Redick, and he had Jimmy Butler, and this was after free agency. They had already did whatever, and he was asking him like, "Yo, like, why didn't you come back?" And he was like, I didn't see myself going back there. You know what I mean? Because pretty much of the coaching, like it was like when he first went there, he didn't really want to rock the boat, and then he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna speak my piece." Once he got comfortable, and was like, "Yo, I think we need to do X, Y, and Z." And I think it was just because he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna speak my mind," like, and you can't handle that. Like Dwayne said, you can't handle that, bro. You can't handle grown men talking to you, trying to express their opinion. You may not be built to be a head coach there, good brother.
Yeah, that's job.
yeah.
And even in that,
He can sit down on the bench with a clipboard.
Yeah, yeah.
right?
That's where he started, right?
That's
Yeah,
where he can go back.
that's
Yeah,
where it was
that's where
at.
he can go
Development,
back.
player
Because
development.
I mean, to be the NBA coach, you have to learn how to manage grown men. You have to
Mm-hmm.
have a certain personality to first manage grown men, and then get them to buy into your system.
You can't be fearful of them. Like you said, like that's why I wanted to bring that up and highlight that story because it's not just like you said police, but it's all realms where like they fear us, and I'm trying to figure out like why. And like Taman said, we 15%. We make up 15% of the population, and yet you
I'll say
fear
allegedly.
allegedly, right? Allegedly 15%, and you fear this. You fear us so much, and we just trying to figure out why. And again, if we're going back to the story, like we didn't ask to be here. Like if we're being real, like y'all brought us here. Not me. I was born here. Yeah, I mean, but like our culture, our ancestors, we didn't. Y'all took us from here. Y'all took us from our comfortable place.
In the
So,
instance of Brett Brown in that situation, his fear has to come from just giving into whatever stories he ever heard about Jimmy.
Hmm.
The worst stories that he heard about Jimmy, he believed it, and then he probably fell into those stereotypes of of an angry black man. And then it doesn't help when Jimmy is looking the way he looking right now, because he look like he off right now. He got his hair all wild. He look like he off right now. You know what I mean? Just being real. You know what I'm saying? But
He might not trust the bubble barbers.
it's
Yeah,
I,
Because there's a couple of them that still look a little rough. I seen Paul George the other night. I said, "Ooh, that
hold
man
on.
got a
Somebody
hole."
asked somebody had asked the question. They was like, who's braiding their hair in the bubble?
that's a real question.
But that's a real
They,
question.
they they got,
That's a real
from what I
question.
heard, they got a
That's a real
barbershop and
question.
salon in the joint.
Okay.
You don't let everybody touch your hair.
Okay. But but people will fall into those stereotypes of black men, that of angry black men, that they're just aggressive, they're animals, and I'm pretty sure that that's what he was feeling, and that's why he was fearing Jimmy the way he feared Jimmy.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm glad that you brought that up because I think that that's what in a lot of cases, um, why things happen because you've been taught or you've been told that this is how black people are. I can't remember where I seen it at, but they were breaking down the characteristics of the races, and they said they was talking about when it came to a black man, they were saying they were describing like an animal. Don't look him in his eye. He get angry. Like they were talking about those things, and when that's been embedded into you, and that's when what's been drilled into you from a young age, that's what it is. Like somebody told me that this is how black men act. You can't approach them a certain way. You can't you can't talk to them a certain way. I'm a man just like you a man. Come address me just how you would address your white friend. You know what I mean? Or your Asian friend or whatever it is. But when somebody who probably had no interaction with us tells you that this is how you interact with a black man, and that's what people believe, I can believe I believe that what Biv is saying is correct. Like that is what they've been taught. That's what how people told them to interact with us.
And that kind of goes back to the episode that we had when we were talking about Jake Fromm, um, about the just how he grew up. One of the things that I think that we need, and when I think about college basketball and football coaches, what environments they go to recruit, right? Because they want those players. They see those type of environment, and so they would have an idea as to where these players have came from. So they would have a better perspective on the people rather than what you've been taught. So I think that those type need to speak up and talk to their counterpart, because one of the I was listening to She Wallace, right? And he's from Philly. And he
Mhm.
was saying that when they won the chip, when Carolina won the chip in '93, like right after that, he said he came home and then looked in his living room and there's Dean Smith and Phil Ford. He's like, "What in the world? Like, yo, you should be celebrating." He was like, "Nah, we want you. We came here for you." Thinking about North Philly, right? I can't imagine Dean Smith in North Philly. You know what I mean? But at the same time, he was there because he wanted something. So he's seen the environment and he probably seen how she was, and we all seen the reputation that she has got as far as text and whatnot. But he knows she as a person, and he knows the type of person that he is. So he knows she family probably and all that. Those type of people that understand who we really are, and not get the perception of what's just been taught need to speak up on our behalf and say, listen, it ain't just don't look them in the eyes, bro. Just sit down and talk to them just like they people, because they are people at the end of the day. Like they just have a different hue of skin color. That's what we've been taught, right? Especially
Mhm.
with this, the majority of this culture in America is built up on one nation under God and it's supposed to be Christian. Where is that at? That I and that's another thing. How can how can you be a member of the KKK and be a Christian at the same time? That's
Easily,
mind boggling to me.
easy. You just take off the hood.
Easily, this is, but they both worlds don't their morals don't coincide with each other.
So,
According to you,
I thought it was according to the Bible. I thought that's what.
not the
Hey,
one they reading apparently.
yeah,
yeah,
they got exclusive Bible.
it's crazy to me, but what you said, right? Where what you said, like, how can you be a member of this and then still be like a lot of people profess what a lot of people can profess to be something, right? But it's how you carry yourself and how you act how you act. I talk to my wife about this all the time. Like when you watch like these murder shows and stuff like that, you never know how many killers you walk across. Never know. You never know. Like you, how many times people bumped into Ted Bundy and you know what I mean? Like they didn't know. They didn't know that he was chopping up people. Like it's just,
There just needs to be like I understand that there's evil in the world, right?
mm-hmm,
I get that is, and it looks like it's a battle between good and evil right now. And I mean, the reason why I say that is not even just to bring religion into it, but just
mm-hmm,
to say we understand that we are the minority, right? And the
mm-hmm,
majority is the Caucasian race. And apparently, our voice, whether it be all the 15% or not, is not being heard. So there needs to be more of the majority faces, like you were saying, Aaron Rodgers speaking out,
mm-hmm.
because someone that's looking at just football as a sport, that's not even really looking into politics, social culture, what's going on in the world, and they're in a bubble, and they see Aaron Rodgers speaking out on something like that, they're like, okay, let me look into this, and it gets to where they're like Wayne said, there hasn't been a generation as a whole come together and say this is wrong, and that's what needs to happen is a generation, not just the ones that look like us, because yeah, we can speak our piece because we're the ones that's dealing with it, but it needs to be the ones that are blind to it that need to actually see what's going on and actually care.
One of the things you just said spoke volumes to me, and it made me think about something. Like Aaron Rodgers can speak, but to me, yes, his voice is important, but it's not the voice I want to hear. It's not the voice because when I think about
No, not you.
no,
You
I
don't
know
want to
about
hear it.
people. I'm just talking about people in general. I want to hear Jerry Jones. I want to hear the
Boy,
the
you don't get that one.
I want to hear the Jeffrey Lloyd. I know, but I'm saying is I want I want to hear those people say enough is enough, right? And not just try to play both sides. You know what I mean? Not trying to have my hand over here and have my hand over here because I don't want to rattle no fences. I don't want to burn bridges nowhere.
Um, at this point, if you wishy washy, you against us. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. If you can't be definitively behind us 100%, then you against us. You know, not to quote the Bible, but you know, God said He wants you either hot or cold. You know, want you lukewarm. And me personally, I respect you more. If you, I can. I've always said this. I probably will befriend the open racists because I know where they stand.
Right.
You feel me?
There's no hidden nothing.
No hidden agenda.
There's no hidden agendas. I know exactly where you stand. That's why, at the end of the day, Archie Bunker and George Jefferson, they became cool because they knew exactly where each other stood. I can deal with that. It's the ones that want to smile in my face, and all the time they want to take my place. That's the ones the backstabbers. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like those are the ones. Those are the ones. I like when people are openly racist. I don't like it. It makes me mad. But I'm like, you know what? Cool.
That's you.
That's you. But it's the ones that's wishy-washy. Don't be iffy with me. Don't be iffy with me. I feel like Jerry Jones has not spoken out because, like you said, he don't want to try to burn no bridges because that's not how he really feels. And if he says how he really feels, then he probably won't have a team.
It's the NFL.
And that's just like,
no. If in today's society, there will be enough pressure on him to sell that team.
And Jerry Jones is the one that came to my mind. But I think a lot of them like that. If we're being real,
that's why they haven't spoke out.
A lot of them are like that. And like you said, that's why you won't speak out. And
let's be real. Jaguars.
Think about
he looked like us. Where's he?
Think about the college football coaches. How many of them have actually spoke out? Yeah, some of them have made videos with all of their players and everything like that. But that's a script.
Mm-hmm.
That's a script you're reading. That ain't how you really feel. You're reading a script. You made a video. It's a script.
Hey, it goes back to what you're saying.
You had to do multiple takes.
It's the people that are wishy-washy that are in the wrong places.
Like,
or actually, in their case, the right places.
Yeah, they're the right places. All of the people that are in a position to lose something, and they don't want to lose what they have, but they also don't want to lose the people that are close to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that position. I understand that you're in a tough position, whether you have to choose to whatever moral clause you have. You don't want to go against your morals. I understand that. But at the same time, don't. Be who you are. If you are an open racist, be an open racist. I can accept that. I know exactly where you stand, and I probably will never change your mind. But I know exactly where you stand. I know that when I see you, I know exactly what I'm going to get from you. I can accept that. That's being legitimate. That's being 100. That's being real. Don't be wishy-washy. Don't be saying what you want to say just so you can save face, just so you can keep money in your pocket. Don't be that person. Be real. Be honest.
One of the things you said, right? Or to mine allude to as well. A lot of them, the majority of their money doesn't come from the football team or the basketball team. They purchased the teams off of their regular money. You know what I mean? So even to step up and to say, like, I stand with my African American employees, like, because the majority of the majority of the people, your team is black. To say that, it's not like you're gonna lose money from your other businesses. Like, y'all have other endeavors and other businesses that you have outside of football and basketball. I think one of my friends be like, this is just a hobby for them. Like, this is a hobby. They love the sport. They purchased the team. And if you took away the basketball team or the football team, you'd still be rich, super rich. Your kids are still set up for generations. So
it's still a publicized hobby, though.
Yeah,
and
no,
I think that. I mean, when even if, for instance, Steve, what's his name? What's the dude name that was the owner of the Clippers, right? He said what he said.
Steve Ballmer or
no, not Steve Ballmer.
Donald Sterling.
Donald Sterling.
Yeah.
like, granted, he might have just bought the Clippers, but his name is ruined in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, in a sense, it does take an effect to their pockets outside of the teams that they own, because with American culture, sports is embedded. So it's a major, you know what I mean? Like, we didn't know that Jerry Jones was a tycoon in gas, but at the same time, everybody knows Jerry Jones is the Cowboys owner. So if he says something crazy, then who knows who he might run into in that gas and oil industry or whatever that might have felt the way about what he said. So it's publicized more so now. And I think that's why they haven't taken the stand that they either would like to, or to save face should, because in a sense, like, it we'll see. That's the one though. Jerry Jones is the one, man.
This
That's
is
the
what I'm
one.
gonna say.
Him. In my opinion, him and Robert Kraft will be the most influential owners to say something. And if they were to say something, I think the other ones would actually fall in line.
Well, maybe. I do want to talk. Do
You
want
don't
to touch
think
on that
so,
point.
dude?
I do want to touch on that point. But I wanted to say something about his Donald Sterling, right? How long it's been since Donald Sterling or Steve Ballmer took over for the Clippers? Been a minute, been a while.
16, 4 years.
Maybe 4 years. Donald Sterling's net worth as of 2020, $4 billion.
I ain't saying it. I mean, what was his net worth 2016? It was 6, so he got knocked down to. Nah,
I'm just saying, like, yes, it is. Yes, it will hurt them as far as pocket wise, right? But again, like I said, they're still super rich. They're still billionaires.
It's not gonna hurt them. It's not gonna hurt them pocket wise unless it's like an extended period of time. But like they get in trouble, like they say something dumb, they don't lose the team. They
Right.
sell the team.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
like,
Like, thank you.
they don't just lose it. They don't just take it away from them. They sell it. So they make a profit off of the initial investment. It may even be like you think some of these owners have owned this team. It's been in their family for generations.
Yeah.
So especially in the NFL, it's been in their family for generations. So even if they sell it, the profit that the family is gonna make off of it is ridiculous.
This is a lose.
Like, so Steve Ballmer bought the Clippers for $2 billion. Donald Sterling, that was a punishment for Donald Sterling?
Yeah, that was a come up.
He was looking to sell that team.
Yeah, like and now I don't have to worry about the day-to-day of it at all.
Now I can call them niggas that all I want.
All I want with no repercussions.
So what y'all saying is that it don't even matter what the owner said.
No, it's not that it doesn't
okay.
matter. It's not that it doesn't matter what they say.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like me personally, I didn't think he should have sold a team. You know what I mean?
Forced him to, but
they forced his hand because they was like, he doesn't need to be in here. He doesn't need to own an NBA team. So like that's not a prerequisite to owning a sports team, not being a racist.
and keeping it 100.
Just being real.
Could it be?
A lot of them probably forcing out because they don't want how they feel.
That's why Jerry Jones isn't saying anything. That's why Jerry Jones isn't saying anything, because if he say how he really feel, y'all not gonna like it.
No,
that's why I don't know. Like people keep saying, man, I want to know how Jerry Jones feels. He's telling you how he feels with his silence.
Silence. A lot of people telling you how they feel.
Silence is telling you exactly how he feels.
Yeah.
But y'all, for some reason, people don't want to hear it.
Nah, I hear it.
Because if he say what he really want to say, you know what the headline is gonna be? The Dallas Cowboys are up for sale. The NFL has forced him to sell it because he might not mess with his bottom line, but if you do something crazy enough, you can mess with everybody's bottom line. Yeah. And when you start messing with if you mess with a man's pockets, you're gonna get his attention.
And that's why they forced Steve Ballmer out, because it would have messed with the overall bottom line. But if it didn't affect
Sterling.
Donald Sterling. If it didn't affect the NBA,
Ballmer made like some bread during this
Yeah, no, he
This
came up.
coronavirus too. I heard he came up like old boy from Amazon too.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
just another
yeah.
conversation.
Steve Ballmer worth 72 billion now.
Yeah, this is crazy.
72 billion. You know what I mean? But uh, it like I said, to really see change, yes, it's cool for LeBron and them to say stuff. Um, it but at the end of the day, keeping it 100, LeBron will retire, and there will be another NBA star that steps up and fills his shoes. These owners, they need to say things because they are the ones that um have real influence. Not saying that LeBron doesn't have influence, he does, but his pockets, LeBron has millionaire influence, right? He doesn't have billionaire influence. He doesn't have like you
You
say
ain't
he
got
does
too
or he
many of
doesn't.
those.
See, this to me right now, this is a moment in time where
Or
the
Michael Jordan.
people
What are
who
you
have
doing? Anyway.
the people who have the people who have money, the people who have influence, the people who have a huge platform, this is a moment they come together. Right now, there should be a ceasefire on sports.
I
If you're
fuck
a
with you.
if you're a black athlete, that's done. We're done. We're done. And I know some people are gonna be like, what is that? What is that gonna do? It's gonna send a message to everybody that enough's enough. That millionaires are willing to forfeit their millions for the cause. And this is the time where all the rappers, all these entertainers, all of these politicians, all of these activists, this is where everybody needs. Zoom is out there.
In one
Like
big Zoom.
everybody needs to get together on one page, and we need to come up with a true African American black, however you want a black agenda.
Mhm.
What it is that we demand, and don't move until it's done. Don't move it. Don't move until it's done. See, the little man, we can move the needle a little. We can move the needle a little bit in our own little communities. We can move the needle a little bit. They had the platform to move the needle across the nation. Their voices can be heard louder, and their voices can be heard longer because they have deeper pockets. Let's just be real.
Yep. I agree.
Than you and I. They can reach out and they can get more and more done. If until we are unified, until we had that unification amongst us blacks, and we stop bickering over the little stuff, just because somebody's a Republican, just because somebody is a Baptist, whatever the reason is that we bickering, we need to put it aside and come together and coming together in unity. We're gonna always have disagreements. That's part of life. But we gotta come. We got to come unified and come up with a true black agenda and put together something real. All of this beating around the bush, everybody trying to do their own thing. It's enough of that. It's enough of it. Come together and get something done if you really want it done.
I'm gonna tell you who popped in my mind, but I'm gonna say this point first. George Hill, LeBron, right? George Hill said we should have never been here. You know
You
what I
heard
mean?
that too?
Yep. He said we should have never been here. They made us come here, right? And then LeBron said, I don't know what he's talking about. To
Put it out
me,
there.
like to me, that speak to like um we're not on the same page. George Hill said we should never been here. LeBron said, I I don't know. I don't know what we're talking about. You know what I mean? I don't. So it goes back to like you saying, Bill. We need to be unified. We need to be on the same page. We need to be um unified in this thing. And one of the people that come to mind, And I know we're gonna talk about the messenger, but the message is right where the message is exactly what he said. Kyrie Irving. The message is right where what he said. We shouldn't play. That's what he said. We shouldn't play. Um, Based off of everything that we're seeing and everything that is going on in the world with us as colored people, he said we shouldn't play. And then I know he wasn't playing anyway, but at this point to me, that's irrelevant. You know what I mean? Because of what he said and what you're saying and what should happen. We shouldn't play. And the way we um become unified is if we all say that we're not playing. And we all say we come up with a black agenda, whether that is we start our own leagues or whatever it is that we do. Um, but we all need to come up with a plan, and we all need to be unified in that plan.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of y'all. Of course. Um, I mean, Dwayne hit it on the head, and that's one of the reasons. Uh, like he said pretty much what was it? Killer Mike said at the Revolt conference was like, "Yo, we need to stop this whole Democrat Republican nonsense. Like he said, kill y'all masters." It said we need to get together a 10-point plan and come together and say this is what we want as a people. And if you can give us this, then you got our vote. And if not, then we're gonna take business elsewhere. And I mean that goes back even to the Black Panther Party. I mean that was supposed to be a political party, if I'm not mistaken, to ratify us together, to have a 10-point plan to bring together. And I and it goes back to like why was that infiltrated and destroyed? Like we were just trying to rebuild ourselves and come together. So why are y'all why is
That's a
there
whole
fear?
show, bro.
Yeah, it
And I was
is.
gonna
It
say,
is. It
That's a
is.
whole show. I can talk about that till about midnight.
Yeah, and listen, I
listen,
it,
even when you talk about Black Wall Street,
what okay, so even even if so we get together, right?
mm-hmm,
And we all come together. We also need the prominent to come together because they have the voice.
mm-hmm. You're talking about
Like as far as like the Oprahs and the LeBrons and the people with the deep pockets need to also be with
See,
us as well.
like, and like I heard what you said about Killer Mike, but we don't need to go to any politician. We have our own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we can put. They have there's enough of us out here that we can create our own political party.
That's a fact.
There's enough of us.
That's a fact.
There's enough of us out here. If our vote is the vote that they always depend on to swing the election, right? That's whose vote they always count on. They're saying that Trump won in 2016 because we didn't come out, but they said Obama won in '08 and 2012 because we did come
they
out.
did come out. Mm-hmm.
So if we had that much influence in the polls, if we say, hey, guess what? We gonna boycott. We ain't going to that place no more. We ain't buying nothing in there. We can shut that place down. We have so much power that we never actually use.
I,
Never actually use. And we can create our own political party. But we have to come together. We have to come together first. We have to come together first.
I'm gonna give you a blueprint. I'm gonna give you a prime example of exactly what Biff is saying. Right before he became a president, he wasn't a politician. He wasn't a politician. Like that's why people say they loved him and they voted for him because they say Trump wasn't a politician. So when we talk about what Biff is saying, like we don't need the parties. I mean, we don't need to be we don't need a politician, like you said. We can have enough votes to Like you said, vote one of us. We can do it. We just need to come up with a plan and be organized enough to do it. The reason Trump is in office because he was organized enough to say, "This is what I'm going to do." He put his plan together. He had the money, the deep pockets that Taman said. He had the backing, and he did it. He wasn't a politician. He was a businessman.
You might get Oprah on it.
He was a businessman, and because he was a businessman and he had all his stuff in order, that's why he became president.
Would you vote for Jay for president? The Jay-Z.
Oh no,
ticket. You might rock with that.
I gotta see. I gotta see what. I gotta see what happened
If
with
he,
this.
if
Epstein thing.
see, that's the thing though. Like, if they are going to be our candidate running for our cause, then we have to make sure it's the right person. Like you said, like we can't just vote for him because it's their name, because of the name, because it's Jay-Z. But we also can't make sure just because it's Jay-Z, we can't just say, hey, he's gonna be the guy just because it's Jay-Z.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That might not, you know what I mean? Like we have to choose a person that's capable of handling whatever office that we're striving for to get him in. And me personally, I don't think that going directly after the presidency is necessarily the thing. We need to first infiltrate our own local city governments. That's where the change starts. We need to infiltrate our local city governments, and then the counties, and then the states, and then we can worry about taking care of the White House. This election, to me, I know everybody's focused on the presidency, but for me, again, like in every other election, it is about the local elections. That's the people that you can reach out and touch. That, whatever that is at the top between the two old dudes, I don't really care about it. I don't really care about it. I don't, because guess what? The same thing is going to be happening for the next 4 years. There's going to be bickering and complaining in Washington, and nothing's going to get done because we're continuing to go through the same two-party system and elected the same people from that same system that are not getting anything done for us. For us. So why are we continuing? Like people always say, go out and vote, go out and vote. And I'm like, man, is it really changing? This process isn't working for us. Like I know people say, man, your ancestors, they fought, they fought and they died. I understand that. I really do, and I appreciate them fighting for that. But guess what? Here we are in 2020. It still hasn't changed anything. Our right to vote hasn't changed. It hasn't changed anything because we're still voting for the wrong people. Who cares if you got the right to vote if you're voting for the wrong people?
And the wrong reasons.
Like we always stress get out and vote, get out and vote, get out and vote. We never stress research the candidates that you are going to vote for. Being an informed voter is the most important thing. Yeah. Going in there blindly and just pressing buttons is not getting anything done. We got to be informed voters. We got to do the research so that we can vote for the right people. It's not about voting. It's about voting for the right people that have your best interest at heart. And I don't care what part of the aisle he on. I don't care if he's on the left or the right. If he has my best interest at heart, I'm gonna vote for him.
and the crazy thing, like you said, with Bid, right, is you have people who vote strictly Democrat or Republican, regardless of views. Like you said, I don't care about a party. If your views line up with what I believe, and I feel as though that it's better for me and my people, I don't care what party you are. I'm gonna vote for that.
And it'd be like 10% to 11%. But I'd be like, listen, you got the one up, so I'm gonna rock with you. It's only two of y'all. I mean, that's been always my thing.
One thing, go ahead.
Not to say like I've always been informed, but just like especially when it comes up, Like, okay, what have you done?
Mm.
If you've been in this seat for a very long time and ain't nothing changed, okay, let me see what your partner talk about. Okay, this might be a little bit better. All right, I think I might rock with them. I mean, because at the end of the day, like we're stuck in the system. Nothing has changed, right? And the change needs to be like Bill said, as far as us having our own political party, or even just scratch the whole political party system. But the system that's in place, you have to know. It can't be like, yo, my people's just been voting Republican all my life, so I'm gonna go this way. Or I've been voting. Nah, man, you got to know who's going in there, man, and who's been in there and what has happened since they've been there.
My ticket always looked like Spider-Man suit.
Right? Right?
But one of the things Biff said, like, more importantly, mayors, like governors, those are the ones that impact you more. Like city officials, those are the
State
ones that
representatives.
impact you more than the presidency. You need to be informed about those people before, like, you want to do all this research on the president, you know what I mean, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and all that, but you're not informed about what's going on in your own community, in your own city, in your own state. You're not informed about that. So then when you get into the booth, you all excited about voting for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and then you got all these other buttons you got to press, and now you just pressing buttons. So I'm with you. Like, you definitely have to be an informed voter. Um, and I'm with a lot of things that we talked about today, like really doing away with the whole political thing, the political party, like doing away with all of it. I mean,
Yeah, the two-party system is one of those things where it, if you're truly honest with yourself, you should be an independent. You're not fully red or you're not fully blue. Like you're either a conservative liberal, you know what I mean, or a liberal conservative. One or the other, and they're the same thing. So you are, because you don't line up with it. And some people get mad with me when I say it, but I tell people all the time: if you're a black Christian, you know your views line up more with the Republicans than you do with the Democrats. And it's just the truth. But you know what I mean? Like, they don't see that. They don't see that because the history pretty much says, I guess you want to say, what, 50s, 60s, it has been that the Republicans has been deemed racist. They've always been deemed racist. And whenever I guess the political party switch was when, the emancipation happened or whatever. It's
mm-hmm.
confusing. It's confusing. It's confusing. And then you'll have politicians that will literally switch parties. How, you mean to tell me your views changed that much?
Yeah, quick.
That you change parties? No, your views are exactly this. Your views are exactly the same. They're exactly the same. Somebody just pissed you off, so you just went to the other party.
What's my man named Bloomberg?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he run for the Democrat? Yeah. I was like, yo, that dude, I thought he seems like he's a Republican, bro.
He is.
Donald Trump was a Democrat.
It's all the same.
It go back to kind of what Biv said in the beginning, right? Systematic. The systems were put in place. They don't care to continuously say that I want this power over you. It's a power system. It's a power system. That's why they have the parties, because it's about power.
And the parties are divisive. That's what it's about. It's about having that division and having something to really to just argue about.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you see politicians argue about human rights, and that's ridiculous. That that people that have been elected to take care of human beings and have human beings' interest at heart are arguing over human rights, that's ridiculous. That's your job. Your job is to make sure is to protect humans' rights. That's your job as a politician, is to protect human rights, to uphold the Constitution. That's your job as a politician. And you're arguing about simple human rights. That's ridiculous.
They get in the office and then don't even mention it again, or they are um, pressed to do something.
If
You
you
want to know
think,
how? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
if you think about the politic game, okay, this is just my opinion, right? They say what they want to do, and then once they're in office, the money talks,
Yep,
and then they're forced to do what the money says,
yep.
and not even the money, the backlash behind not even pushing the idea, because then you got some over. Well, I guess back to the money. So, yeah.
It's exactly what you said. They talk about what they say they want to do. They get in the office, and
But that would be the higher levels, my opinion. Like the lower levels, like you said, is where we actually see them on a day-to-day basis. Like we can actually go touch them. The local representatives, you live in somewhere one of these neighborhoods, so I can actually talk to you, and you're the closest thing to government. So that's why I totally agree as far as being more important locally than national, and because we all know the national game up there with once you get up there to Congress and all that, it's probably a whole bunch of all right. So if a Democrat comes up with this bill, we all Democrats, we gonna make sure we vote for it. If a Republican comes up with that same bill, we're not gonna vote for it. It's like, yo, it's a pity pat game. Like even with this whole stimulus package, like, bruh, we talking about the economy going down. Y'all bickering about what's going on with the post office and whatnot. Like, bruh, like I'm not saying we need the money, but if that's what y'all trying to do and y'all stalling and then go on vacation, how do y'all really have the people's interests at heart? Like what Yep, that's my soapbox moment. Go ahead, Ben.
But again, just to reiterate the power thing, think about this. Pretty much every other elected official has unlimited terms. But the most powerful one can only do that twice.
twice.
Because I want to have a chance to sit in the big chair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about this. And I know people always want to bring up other instances and stuff, but if a president has done a great job for 8 years, why should he have to leave office?
Mm-hmm. If the economy has been thriving at its best when he was in office, why would he have to leave?
If he's doing a good job, why should he have to leave? Because somebody else says that they want a chance to sit in the big chair. That doesn't make sense to me. But a mayor can sit in a city and watch it run down the drain, and he can stay in that office for 50 years.
Yep. So one of the things, and to mine, I wanted
Hey,
to.
is it me or is it like has that boy Putin been in or Netanyahu been in office? It seems like forever. Am I
I think
tripping?
it's different. I think it's different in other places.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like
It is.
they're
Who
there
won't?
longer.
Mm-hmm.
Because majority of them they do what they want, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how. I know how some of them got in office because they had to kill the man that was already there. You feel me? But it don't work like that here. But again, we have to change the infrastructure of this government. Like there is no reason that a person should be sitting and a politician in Washington for 50 years, and his state is in the bottom third in education, the bottom third in unemployment. Like, there's no reason. Why are you continuing to vote this person in? And they're doing absolutely nothing. That doesn't make sense to me. But the president can be doing a great job, and after 8 years, it doesn't matter. He's done because I need my time in that big chair.
Yep.
In that big chair.
It's just the
it's
truth.
actual. It's real.
It's
It's
just the
the
truth. It's just
truth.
the truth. It's just the truth, man. And you see it all the time. You hear about all of these the red states down south and how terribly they are ran. And then you see that they have career politicians and their chairs and their seats just get handed down to the next generation. Like, how do you grandfather in politicians? That doesn't make sense. They're supposed to be elected officials.
That's true. That's
Hey,
true.
Bush
The
is
only
good.
the presidency, the only job that got an expiration date, like a legit expiration date.
Hey, you say what you want, man. The Bushes did it with the presidency.
Yeah. Listen, I agree with that. I did want to ask a question, just to clarify with the people to mind. When
Yo,
you
hold on. Yo, you know what I realized? And this is, I'm sorry to cut you
no,
off.
you good,
It's
you
just
good.
pop. You know, the old George Bush, he was vice president like 8 years and then became president. This man was in that, he was close to the
The White
top seat
Office,
for 12 years,
the
bro.
White House.
So he's the closest to have the longer reigns.
Hey, listen.
Wow.
I wonder if it's a term on vice president now also. Probably not. But I wanted to ask when you said like on the lower level, um, with the city officials and stuff like that, that not saying that we shouldn't do our research on them, um, but I think I forget what it was, but it was something like more I can't even remember it now. Um, so I guess we'll move forward, but I can't remember the question now. He said he made a statement about not with the presidency or the vice presidency, um, but more like it was less democratic. I can't remember now, but if I remember, I'll throw it out there again and I'll ask the question again. Um, but I want to say to the people, all this stemmed from a conversation that we were having about Jacob Blake. Um, and I just want to say just how impactful like this thing is, like how 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 far it can go. Just this one thing and how we can dive into so many different lanes and how it's 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 in sports, it's in politics, it's in employment, it's on your jobs, it's everywhere. So to me, if you aren't impacted by something like this, no matter where you are, um, I think you need to self-evaluate.
You need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. That's how they said in the 90s. Man, listen. Um,
We done went from sports to politics. Like
no, yeah, we did. We did.
it's real though.
It is. I mean, because in today's climate, it's mixing. I mean, because you have the boycott because of what's happened,
Hmm.
and to be honest, since it's the political, since we're so close to the elections and whatnot, it's going to be made out of political.
Hmm.
So I mean that everything is going to merge into politics. I think, my opinion, especially if it's broadcasted on that screen, it's going to be blended into politics to see who does what responses from who, especially this. Yeah, like you said, the battle of the old men.
Okay.
I always found it weird that people say, politics doesn't have a place in sports.
It always
Like,
does.
Politics is
like
everywhere.
the people that play the sport and coach the sport, like they're not citizens of the same country. Like, that's just stupid. That's really dumb. That because I'm an athlete, I shouldn't have a position on any type of political issue. That's ridiculous. That's
But you
really
want my vote.
ridiculous. But you want my vote.
That's how
It's
they
really
felt about
ridiculous.
Muhammad Ali, man. They
You
want
know what
that
I mean?
man to go to the draft. He said, nah. Oh, you can't say nothing like that. You're a heavyweight champion. And
Hmm.
back in those days, you're the American champion. You're the hero. So now you got to
Hmm.
fight for our country. He's like, nah, what am I going to do? Now it's turned political.
Sports sports should have the biggest impact on in politics. And the way I say it is because majority of what's happening in the world is happening to people who look like us, and the majority of the people who are in sports look like us. So their voices should be have a huge impact on the political realm.
I agree. That's why
And
Ali's
Absolutely.
one of my
entertainment.
favorite athletes of all time.
And entertainment. Like you say entertainment should doesn't have a place in the political realm. Has a huge impact on it.
They should because they are the ones that perpetrate the most stereotypes.
Yep. Huge impact.
They are the ones that perpetrate the most stereotypes. Those are the ones that perpetrate the most political agendas. Like, where do you? That's where people get majority of their ideas for everything.
The
For,
influencers.
for, for everything. When you think about the fear factor that everybody was talking about, that's where it came from. It came from entertainment. It came from entertainment. It came from turning on your TV and seeing black dudes shoot up everybody and always being the criminal. That's where it came from.
Oh boy, you about
Just
to go
being,
deep. No,
I'm just
you
being,
you
I'm
you
just
100.
being, I'm just being real. That's where it came from.
I
So
think we
yes,
got like
those
five
people,
show topics.
I do believe those people, you know what I mean, have a responsibility just as much as the people in, our community, the rappers in our community have some sort of responsibility for the things that go on in our community. I'm not gonna get into it. You know what I'm saying? But they have some sort of responsibility for it. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna say they're solely responsible because at the end of the day, people are responsible for their own actions, and parents are responsible for the children that they raise, so on and so forth. But we can't act like that. It doesn't have a factor in entertainment, music, movies, whatever it is. It has a factor into the way that we perceive people, the way that we stereotype people, the way that we judge people or prejudge people. It's just the truth.
I
and
concur.
and people gonna probably think about the same thing with us, right? Like we tune in to hear you guys talk about sports or certain things, right? Culturally, we don't want to hear y'all talk about stuff in the political realm. And this show may not be one of our highest viewed shows, um, but it's okay because it's real, right? We're gonna use our platform to talk about things that we believe are important, and we want to speak on things that we feel as though that need to be said. Granted, like I said, we may not have a huge platform like her, but we're gonna talk about the things that we feel as though that are important to us and important to our culture, and we're gonna speak on those things. So you may feel as though that I tuned in to hear sports, or y'all should just shut up and talk about sports. If we feel as though it's important and the show's name speak on it, we're gonna speak on these things.
Definitely. 'Cause, I mean, it affects us. It's us. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, regardless of what's going on in life, and you know what I mean, we try to give you guys entertainment. You know what I mean, whether it be viewership, whether it be listening, and of course we like lighthearted things. But at the same time, this is real life,
Yeah.
and you got to speak your piece. And I mean, one of the reasons why we are podcasting is to have a platform to be able to have a voice. And one of the ways that we're going to use our platform is to continue the conversation. And this conversation needs to be continued, regardless of whether it comes up on a sports show, whether it comes up on political show, religious show, music show, whatever show, it can come up. because it is what it is. It's life. We need to speak on it. You guys need to hear our plight. We are going to push the conversation continuously.
We black. Like, I, I don't know how else to say it. Like, it be real. Like, not trying to be politically correct, but we're black. Like, these things. Yes, sports are cool. Sports is what gets our mind off of things. It doesn't take away the reality though. It doesn't take away the reality of the things that we go through. Go ahead, Piv.
It's no different than partying, smoking, drinking. It's a temporary high. When that game is over and I cut the TV off, my mind goes right back into the reality that I live in. My worries, my fears, my dreams, they kick right back in. It's no different than me chasing alcohol, weed, crack, sex, whatever it is. It's a temporary release from reality. And sometimes you can't run from that temporary release.
Not at all.
You feel me? You can't run from it. And then there's times where you have to run from it because the situation, the reality, you have to face reality. And this is one of those times where we have to face reality. We can't hope that sports come back. Like right now, I'm hoping that sports is done. I'm hoping
I'm
that it's
cool.
done.
I'm cool.
I'm good. Before I was a little upset about it or whatever, but I was upset about it for a different reason because it was COVID.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was upset that we was missing sports. I wasn't upset that they wasn't having sports because of political issues.
But
I
now
was
you're actually
upset that we
standing for
wasn't
something.
having. Now they're standing for something. I don't think I'm not sure if Kyrie's comment was about not playing because of social justice or COVID, but if he was talking about social justice, he was right. That it shouldn't have been there for that, and we see that. But if
I'm,
it was about COVID, I wasn't feeling.
I'm with you. I'm 100%. I'm gonna be 100% because again we speak on it, right?
And it
I
was because you wasn't playing, Kyrie. Like if you had told your man that, if you had told Levert to say that, then we would have written. You know what I mean? But it was because you wasn't playing. Go ahead though.
I'm gonna say I would be upset if sports. I would be upset if sports um doesn't happen, but I would be even more upset if sports does happen. Um, because I feel like Biff said, I love sports. I do want to watch sports, but if it doesn't happen, I understand it. If we're standing united as a united front, and taking away sports is the platform that you're using, taking away sports is the vehicle that you're using to further your agenda and further the cause and further us as a people in the community. I'm okay with that, and I can't be upset with that. So just like it's like a breakup, right? Like when you go through your breakup, you feel as though in the beginning you're like, man, dang, man, like you go through the motions, but then you realize it was for the best. It was for the better good, right? It was for a greater good. I understand it that way. Like that's how I look at it. Without sports, it's gonna be a breakup. You're gonna go through the motions because now what you have to do is you have to fill your time with something else. Like that's just being real, right? You got to fill your time with something else. But it's for the greater good. It's to further the agenda. It's to keep the ball rolling. Because like right now, like Biv said, it takes your mind off of reality. It takes your mind off of things that's going on. But when there is no sports, you're constantly faced with the reality, and either you figure out a way to be a voice and a leader and a change in that thing. But when sports is there, it's like okay, I don't have the I have this as an outlet as a release.
I mean, I agree with both of y'all. I don't have any deep things to say. I think I said
Hey,
all.
understand? You said a lot.
I yeah. I don't. I think if I say any more, I might start cussing, and I don't want to go that. I think I've touched the surface of what I want to say, but I definitely salute them for doing, and like I said, more so coming together as a unit. Is the biggest part that I get out of this, because it's good
And I'm
for
good.
one. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You can finish.
It's good for one. You know what I mean? Like if LeBron stood up, we would have understood. You know what I mean? But for it to be Milwaukee Bucks, and then they came together and started talking. Then it started to be everybody, and then it spread it to that the uniformity that I would like to see.
Yep, I was gonna. That's exactly what I was gonna say. I was gonna say shout out to the baseball teams. Not exactly sure of which ones right now, but I kept getting updates that more and more teams were saying that they're not gonna be playing it, at least for today. Again, now baseball is not a sport where we're heavily represented. Let's just be real. It's not a sport that we're heavily represented. So to see um, them stand in solidarity with us is a big thing. Is a big thing. And again, I'm not saying that every single baseball player feels that way. I'm not saying that. But the fact that they can recognize that something is wrong, that's fine. And it goes back to what I said about the races. You can be openly racist. That's fine. But there's no way you can, racist or not, you can justify anyone being shot in the back 7 times. You can't.
You can't. I did want to say this. Um, I'm big on why you're doing it, why you're doing something, right? So I wouldn't be mad either if they decided to play, but I want to know why. Like, what's the purpose or what's the point as to why you're doing it? So, like I say, I'm not mad either way. I just want to know why. Like, what is the agenda? What is the cause? Are you playing because this is your occupation, but or are you not playing because it's just something to do? Like, why are you doing it? And that's where I want. One of the things I want to say is, I won't be mad at people or the players if they came together and said we still want to play because this is the best way to use our voice and our platform. Um, or if they said, listen, we're not going to play because that's the best way to use our voice and our platform. I'm cool with either way, but I just want to know why. You said what?
I said the Blazers was down 3-1, so I was cool.
And the Sixers ain't playing, so
It's a little jokey joke. Just trying.
But and I'm gonna shout out my wife, Angie Bivens, because it was her idea that she threw out to me. But you know what would be dope tomorrow night is if the first game the referee throw the ball up and everybody just sit down on the floor with the cameras right there on them on national TV. The ref throw the ball up and everybody sit on the floor and let them know we're not joking. This isn't a joke. This isn't a ploy. We really serious about this.
Hey, tell your wife to get on Twitter and tweet Adam
and tweet.
Silver or whoever's playing tomorrow. Who play tomorrow? Or who's supposed to play tomorrow? Toronto
The
supposed to play tomorrow.
Toronto, and
Toronto and
Boston.
Boston was supposed to
Oh,
play.
okay. So yeah. Let's get Kyle
Biv
Lowry
just
on the phone.
Biv just made me like give me an idea. Like you said, just throw it up there and they all sit down and
Or just walk
let,
off.
or just let the because I think
Just let the clock run.
just let the clock run. Get up, touch the ball, 24 seconds again, let the clock run. Because again, that'll speak volumes. Because one, they're on TV, and the owners are still paying for. They're paying for this, so I would do it. Get up there, throw the ball up there,
Throw the
y'all,
ball, throw the ball up and just walk off.
and just walk off.
Dope idea.
Just like my man did today. Just like shout out to Kenny Smith. That was on air. He was on air. He said, you know what? I stand with the players, and walked off the set on air.
Kenny,
Yep.
I always like Kenny.
I ain't see Shaq or Chuck walk off
Oh,
there.
okay. So my final thoughts for the
They
day.
can't. Shaq and Chuck can't do it, man. They got too many. They got too many debts. They can't afford to
I,
lose their jobs, man.
I would, um,
I'm just joking, Shaq. Chuck, I'm just messing. I'm just joking around. Like, it was a little joke. It was a little
Little
jokey joke.
joke, Shaq.
It was a
If
little
y'all,
jokey joke.
if y'all ever wanted to get on the show and debate
And
big, man, we all open.
explain why you didn't walk off with Kenny in solidarity. No, I'm just
my final thought is that I like the way that it's coming together as a unit as far as guys boycotting. Of course, we hate the situation and the reasons why they're boycotting, but I mean it's happened and it continues to happen. Um, and regardless of whether there's sports to come back or not, this conversation needs to continue to happen, and we need to keep the same energy. Even if the political climate and everything dies down and it starts to look like normal again, we still need to keep that energy of coming together. And we can't let it be to where it's only around times to where this happens a lot, and it's just more publicized now. So with all eyes on it and seeing it, like like we both like we've all said, we need to just come together as a unit and figure out what's best for us as a people.
I agree. Um, but I do my final thought. I'm gonna give you two scriptures, right? Life and death is in the power of the tongue. What that says to me is you need to let your voice be heard. Um, Dave said it earlier. Your silence speaks volumes. So just thinking that if I don't say anything, I'm not going to get noticed, or um, like if I say something, then I could be ridiculed. You're going to be ridiculed regardless. So if you don't say anything, people are going to judge you as just as much as if you did say something. So um, let your voice be heard. Speak on the things that you're passionate about. I mean, the other one is faith without works is dead. So you can speak on all the stuff that you want to speak on, and you can let your voice be heard. But if you ain't really legit doing anything to change it, then it means nothing. So let your voice be heard, but also allow your actions to be seen and heard as well. So if you're passionate about whatever it is that you're passionate about, whatever the cause is, speak on it. But then get to work on doing that thing.
um. Before I give my final thoughts, I just got to update. 5 MLS matches were canceled. So it looks like the athletes are coming together. Um, my final thought is this: I am I'm a black man, of course. You can see I have a bachelor's degree. I've never been arrested, but my previous experiences with police puts me in a position that every time I see the police officer come behind me, I'm in fear. I do not know. He hasn't turned his lights on. I do not know what this outcome is getting ready to be. And it's even worse when my children are in the car. And again, I'm no criminal. No criminal. I work in the education. I'm an educator. I work in the education system. I coach basketball. I've coached football. I coach baseball for high school and middle school. I'm no criminal. But yet, when the police get behind me, I am in fear. And until you can understand that, and until you have lived that, because I can speak for my two brothers on the show with me. They have the same feeling when the police get behind them too, because that's our experience. And if you can't understand it and you haven't been through it, don't speak on it. Leave it alone. It's not your argument. It's not your fight. Don't say nothing at all because it's not your fight. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
The way that's that's how it should end. Um, Again, y'all know we do. Y'all know what it is. If y'all want to follow us, go to our Facebook page. Our link tree is in there. We on Spotify. We on YouTube. We are on, of course, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you do have a topic that you want to discuss, make sure you leave a comment on any of our platforms, and we'll make sure that we get to talk about it. And if you want to be a guest on the show, make sure you hit one of us up as well. Until then, y'all, speak on it.
Peace.